Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Bao, and today we're going to 3D print a crab trap. So there are a bunch of crab snares that is already out there. This one is a rectangle shape with 6 loops. In California, you're only allowed 6 loops. Here's a circular one with also 6 loops. And this one is pretty interesting. This one has a skull on it. Some people are really creative with putting the logos on these snares, and it's going for around $25. Pretty expensive if you're gonna try to use 4 at a time. So we want to try the 3D print one. This is a homemade crab trap or crab snare. It's made with 19 gauge chicken wire, and the way it works is you have a bait, you put bait inside, and once the crab comes around, they're trying to grab it, they get their legs snagged into these loops, and then immediately when you pull, these snares catch them and it locks into place. You can make the crab snares into different shapes. So this one is more of a rectangle. I made this one a circle, but the problem is it is very time consuming. So instead of making them with the gauge, the 19 gauge wire, so I'm going to show you guys how to make this, and you can print it for yourself. So the first thing we're going to do is create the bottom and top housing in SolidWorks. And we're going to sketch a circle. Our circle is going to be our base, and I want to make it 2 inches. And then we're going to extrude it another 2 inches. Right after that, we're going to shell it out and give it a 0.1 inch on each side. If we check the dimension on this, our inner diameter is 1.8 inch, and that's important for later. We got the 1.8 because we shelled it at 0.1 and 0.1. So now we're going to add in the threads, and the threads we're going to use this thread wizard, and I'm going to make it at 0.25 inch, and I'm going to have it at a pitch of 3 millimeters with a metric tap, and we're going to do an extrude cut. Perfect. Now we'll go to the front plane, and we're going to put our hose inside of it. The reason we did the thread first is if I highlight this, I'll be able to see where it's at, and it's 0.25 inches from the top. So again, I'm going to sketch on the front plane and put a circle. I'm going to put one right on top. I'm going to put one right on the bottom. And I don't want it aligned. I want them slightly offset. So I'll have this first one aligned to the top. And I'm going to put a dot right here so I can measure it later. Right? And we're going to smart dimension this. And our thickness is 0.1 inch, so I'm going to add 0.1 plus, and I want it maybe 0.2 inches away from the thickness. Same thing goes for this one. I know that my threads is 0.25, and then I'm going to put 0.2 away from that also. Great. And I'm going to move this over slightly where I'm going to align these 2 pieces. So I'm going to do a center line. This center line right here is a construction line that allows you to sketch without actually changing any of your features. So I'll move this and align these pieces. An easy way is adding a dot on this side right here, so I can select the side and then select the line and hit this. Well, that's not what I wanted. Just do that again. I'll make it fit, and then I realized I did not make these 2 circles equal, so I highlight them both, make them equal, and then smart dimension is at 0.5 inches. Okay, perfect. So now I have a circle in the middle. That's 0.45 inches away from the top, and the bottom one 0.3. And we're gonna start this. And so instead of extruding using the extrude button, I want to do a wrap since this is a cylinder. So I choose my sketch that I just made, and then I'm gonna emboss it. If I emboss it deep enough, I just go directly right through. So I'm just gonna choose an arbitrary 0.5 inches Oops, I forgot to select my face. So the face is just the side of the cylinder, and I press OK. So now I have 2 holes that are all the way through. And now I go back to the front plane, and what I want to do is I want to mirror circle this. So not mirror, circular pattern this. So I'm going to choose this feature, circular pattern, and select the wrap that I just did, and then select the direction that I want. Direction is just the side. And for this one, I'm just going to use 8. So if I increase this, you can see that it's going more. That's too much. If I have 4, it's too spaced out. I want them a little close to each other. I could measure it, but I'm just going to go with 8. It looks, and it's an even number. Now I want to put in some little holes for the rope. So I'm going to go back to the front plane, and I'm just going to put in a couple of holes. So we'll put in a hole right here, and we'll put a hole right in the center of right here. We're going to smart dimension this 0.1 inches away from the base, because we know that it was our thickness on the very bottom is 0.1. So I'm going to do 0.11 or 0.15, just slightly get it above, and then I'm going to dimension this 2 millimeters. 2 millimeters because that's the size of the filament, and we want to oversize it to give it some clearance. Alright, and I'm just going to make these 2 and going to make them spaced apart. Great. And now I want to make this directly center. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing a construction line so I can line it up. So I'll grab this. If I hover over this, I'll get the centerpiece, and I'll make them horizontal. So now this piece is directly in the middle of these 2. Okay, great. Now we have our sketch, and we're going to again do the wrap. We're going to deboss it, and the reason I didn't do it at the same time with the other one is because I don't want 8 holes. I only want 6 holes. Perfect. So let's do that one more time. So hit the wrap, and I'm going to use our linear pattern and hit our spacing and change this to 6. Perfect. So now I have 6 holes for the 6 loops that I want to add. Now our bottom, we just finish off the bottom piece. Since the bottom layer is where the first adhesion is, I don't like having a lot of holes. It seems to make printing it difficult. So we're gonna change this to 0.5, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some slots for holes. So I'm making a construction circle so I can build around, and then I'm just going to space these 2. I'm spacing this circle to be exactly half of this. Perfect. And now I'm going to use this slot right here. I want to do an arc slot, so I grab this one, and I'm just going to kind of choose this arbitrary piece. I could measure it, but kind of lazy. So looks good. And now I want to do a linear pattern, a circular pattern, sorry. And there we go. Now I have this, and then I just extrude this out. I don't want to do all. This is way too far, so or I can just do through all. There's nothing on top, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, great. So now I have everything. The bottom piece is complete, and we're gonna sketch out a circle. The circle is gonna be the inner diameter of the bottom piece, and we had the inner diameter at 1.8. So we're also going to do 1.8, but we also need to give a tolerance. So I'm going to give it a 15th of an inch tolerance, which is around 0.4 millimeters. And now we're going to extrude this out for the length of the threads. The other ones we had at 0.25. And now I'm going to go to the bottom side, and I'm going to sketch out holding piece, which is also going to be about 2 inches, but I want to make it a little larger so it'll be easier to grab. So let's try 2.1 inches. And now we'll extrude this out and give it a thickness of 0.125, which is 1/8 of an inch. And now let's hollow this out and give it a 0.1 inch. And then we can add the threads onto this portion. So we're going to use this thread wizard, and we're going to give this same pitch as the other one, 42.3 times 3. And instead of being a metric tap, we're gonna change this to a metric die. It's asking me how far I want to go down. I want to go up to a certain selection and go down to the bottom. And here we are, we created the thread. Now all we need to do is hollow out this top. So first thing I'm gonna do is give this top the opening for our string. This is around 2 millimeters, and I can extrude this. I want to extrude cut and just do through all. And now I want to create some more holes on top, so I'm going to do similar to the other bottom one. Going to create a circle, and I want this to be a construction circle. And now this is a little bit half, kind of too lazy to actually measure it, so we'll go here and we create our opening, and now we just circular mirror this sketch, circular pattern, and there we go. And all we need to do now is extrude cut everything. I'm gonna do through all. There we go. Since this is going to be the first layer, again, I don't want to put too many holes, seeing as how it might mess up the bed adhesion. And now we're going to cut some little slits around, so it'll be a little nicer to grab. So I'm gonna do slot, this arc slot, and cut around a small piece, and extrude cut everything through all. And now I can just do a circular pattern around. So I go here and I'll choose this feature, and I want it to be in the direction of the center, and there we go. And we'll make this a revolution of 6. There we go. Kind of look like a gear no top. Okay, so let's print this out, see how it goes. Okay, so now we're in Cura, and I'm going to put in my top and bottom STL files. And here we are. I want to lay this bottom piece flat, and I want to also lay this one flat. If I do Control R, it'll just auto set it for me. If I just move this around. And so since this piece is relatively small, I like to do a little raft for it so the adhesion stays a little better. I know I can add extra brim, but lately it hasn't been printing very well. This filament has been falling off, so I've been just using a raft to make it a little easier. This should not require any support material, and so this is gonna take 3 hours and 19 minutes at 36 grams. And at 36 grams divided by 1,000, which is how much is 1 kilogram, times $10. So this costs 36 cents. Yeah, I didn't really need to show all that, but 36 cents to print this crab trap. Pretty good. So we're gonna use this 100-pound Mason fishing line and cut them into 15-inch strips. So after cutting them, you can see that they're really curly due to them being wrapped up in the spool. So what we're gonna do now is apply hot water or boiling water so they reformed and be more straight. So now we're gonna apply hot water, and you can see that it's changing the shape. So we put it on a towel, tap it dry. So now that we reformed them straight, we're going to put a loop into them. So first thing is we're going to grab this. The next step is we want to use these 3/16 crimping sleeves, and I'll provide the link on Amazon. So we're going to grab the line and we're going to put it through, and this part's very important. You want to be able to align this straight as possible and then crimp this side to hold it into place. So you can see that I only crimped half of the side, and now it's fairly straight. And afterwards, we're going to fold this over and complete the little loop. Now that I created the little loop, I crimped the other side so that it doesn't fall apart. And once you stick the loop through, you created one of the snares. Now just repeat this for all 6. Right here we can put the line through these holes, and first we're gonna make the loop, and we'll stick to the bottom one first with the ring facing up. You could have it this way, but I think this way is much better. So we put it through, and now that we have it through, we can put something right here to hold it so it doesn't come out of place. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to burn it. You can use a lighter and burn this, and this will then create a bigger OD or outer diameter, therefore it won't be able to go through the hole. And I'm going to do this outside because I don't want to smell this inside the house. Okay, so I'm using an electric lighter. You can use a regular lighter if you like to. And I'm just going to burn the top. And you can see that it created a little bubble, and now when I pull back, it's too big to come through. Okay, so earlier I talked about making this straight, so you can see that now it lines up straightly and it's not really turning this way or on the other side. And we just repeat the same process for all 6. Okay, so now that we have all 6 on, you can see how the snare is working. So I have an old piece of a weed whacker line that has a crimp on it. You can use the same fishing line. Now we just want to do the cap on top. So we do the same thing. We just put our piece through here, and then we burn this side. We now have the cap that's burnt and it's held in place, and you can see as I'm pulling it, and we can now screw the cap on, and we're done. This is a crab trap or a crab snare that you can use for fishing. Alright everybody, I hope you liked today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like